Hello, and welcome to Public Pictures Theater, where we'll be watching the 1925 film, The Wizard of Oz, starring Larry Simone, Dorothy Dawn, and Charles Murray.
When the movie was released, many of the theaters that are going to play it didn't receive the footage due to the studio, Chadwick Pictures, going bankrupt after they made the movie.
Fortunately, the film was released on home television in a 3-part serial during June 1931, 6 years after it was made.
Larry Simone, who played the Scarecrow, also directed, produced, and allegedly wrote the script alongside L. Frank Baum Jr.
And the actress who played Dorothy was actually named Dorothy and later on in life would marry Larry Simone.
Not counting the popular 1939 film of the same name, there are countless other Oz films, but only a small group of them went into the public domain, including this one, which was entered in 1954.
Home video releases of the film lacked a score, along with a good number of other early releases of public domain silent movies.
So I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy Larry Simone's The Wizard of Oz.
Welcome back to Public Pictures Theater. I'm Dr. Jim Lenze, and I'm here with Alyssa and Emily, and we're going to talk about Larry Simone's The Wizard of Oz. What did you think about the way that they set up the land of Oz? Did it capture your imagination?
Well, it was hard to tell because it was black and white, but to me it just looked like a whole bunch of curtains, and the Ozians, they looked like they were from... They all look like milkmaids and milkmen to me, and well, there was some nice touches here and there, like with the exotic dancer and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. How about you?
Yeah.
Did you think it was Oz?
Not exactly, but I feel like for the time, I'm sure people in the audience really did think it was like extraordinary and whatnot, but watching it today, it wasn't that grand to me.
Okay. What did you think of the film as a silent film? Had either of you ever watched a silent film before?
Well, yeah, I've watched a couple silent films. Like, I've seen the silent film Phantom of the Opera, I've seen The Artist, which I loved, and...
A very modern silent film.
Yeah, a modern silent film, but I still... Well, the fact that this one didn't have music in it, it sort of set me off a little bit, but not too much, thank goodness, but I enjoyed it a lot.
Now, silent films, when they were shown, did not have music because there was no way to get sound onto the film. So it was usually a social event. There would be a band, or maybe even an orchestra, or if it was a very small community, a piano player who had sheet music to go with the film. And unlike our modern films where people sit and say, shh, be quiet, turn off your cell phone, they were actually events where you talked. And when the bad guy came on, you booed, and when the hero arrived, you went, yay! And when the heroine was there, you'd be, aw, and little children, you'd be like, oh, look, they're so cute. And the audience got into it, and it was a loud event. It was a social event. So silent films, to really be appreciated, need to be watched as a group. Did you watch this alone, or were you with people?
I was alone, sadly.
Sadly alone. I was alone. How about you,
I
Emily?
made my boyfriend watch it with me.
Good job, Emily. Well done.
He did not enjoy it that much, but...
Now, what's your boyfriend's name?
Chris.
Chris, well done. Good job. All right, so...
He did not enjoy it as much as I did,
Okay.
but I think he was getting into it because I kept like talking through it to make it like more interesting for him.
And you did it right. You're supposed to talk during silent films. So were you able to depict the hands of the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion, the Tin Man before they put on the disguises? Could you pick them out? Did you know who was going to be who, or what do you think?
I did not actually.
No?
For some reason, I expected the Tin Man to be the one played by Larry.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just felt like more right to me, but after it was all done, I was like, yeah, I can see how this works out.
Okay.
Well, I have to disagree with you on that one, actually, because I could picture Larry Simon as a scarecrow because of his crazy attitude and like his flamboyant movements, stuff like that, because scarecrows can be pretty flexible.
Yeah. And in silent films, you needed to be flamboyant because you didn't have words to convey any of your emotions, your thoughts. you're conveying everything with hand gestures, body movements, eyes. So the movements tended to be exaggerated. Did you draw any similarities between the book or the 1939 film and the story? There were some inconsistencies between the book and the 1939 film. Did you pick that out?
Yeah, I was able to. Like, there's no Wicked Witch. Like,
Where's the Wicked Witch?
I don't know.
I mean, really?
I don't know what happened to her, but she wasn't there. We had the Prime Minister and his assistant and stuff like that. We still had the wizard, who was still a humbug, but it still was able to consist with the story a little bit, because Dorothy goes to Oz, yes. She meets her companions, yes. It was able to contribute to that.
Okay. What do you think, Emily?
I saw a lot more like to go with the book than the movie, because well, there was multiple books anyway, so
Sure.
there was more to draw out from that. But I did see like maybe one or two similarities from the movie, but I can't really put my finger on it. I guess it's just like the slapstick between the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion, and the Tin Man all seemed to replicate what I remember from the 30s one.
Yeah, so there's some overlap, but it is quite a different story. Did you think the ending of the film was good, or do you think that they should have added more? And if so, what would you have added?
Well, I thought the ending was, it could have been a little bit more like, you could have seen, well, you see the Scarecrow jump off, and I think the ending is up to your perspective. Like, did he make it? Is he okay? Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I think that the ending was okay.
Okay. How about you, Emily?
Well, when I looked at it, it was weird to me, because like as soon as the Scarecrow fell, the little girl just went to bed without hearing the ending, and I was like, you're just not gonna listen because there's not much left, which I found interesting. But I did like how it just kind of ended on that they lived happily ever after thing, because it just kind of went with it in a way, because it was kind of still dark and morbid when you thought about it, because it's like they lived happily ever after. Did anyone else though?
Did anybody else make it out of this? In the film, Dorothy is shown as a lost princess to Oz. Do you think this add-on was necessary?
Well, it was something. Like, it helped advance the plot in a sense, but it was sort of like, why? Did this have to be necessary? Did we need Dorothy to be a princess? I personally don't think so. Like, it could have just been like Dorothy just going on this grand adventure, in a sense, without it being like royalty added. Well, okay, that's fine, I guess.
What I do like about it though is the fact that it was kind of from the like in the middle that you found out. It's not like it's just like this weird plot point at the end where like, oh, and she's a princess, bye. It was more of like that was just kind of what moved the plot. And I thought it would work for that. If it was like in the 1939 version, I don't think it would work at all.
Right. Did either of you see the early 2000s Sci-Fi Channel did a miniseries called Tin Man, in which Dorothy is a princess and she's an adult, and it actually more closely follows this story, although there's some very different characterizations. The Tin Man plays a sheriff, has a tin star, he's the Tin Man, but Dorothy plays a princess who does not know she's a princess. So in a way, they borrow from the silent film to put that story together. And isn't it funny how all the different versions, Wicked, the play, Dorothy is always the central point, and yet they change her in so many ways. In Wicked, she's actually being manipulated by Glinda and the Wicked Witch to help get rid of the wizard. And it's always different. And that probably goes to the greatness of the story, that it's open to interpretation, open to being reimagined, and open to making some changes. And hopefully in the future we'll see more adaptations, and it'll be really great. Well, that's all the time that we have tonight on Public Pictures Theater. I'd like to thank Emily and Alyssa and for joining me tonight, and I'm Dr. Jim Lenze. From all of us at IUP TV, have a good night.